It's Will.
And James, thanks for checking into the Pit Stop. This is our recap for Amazing Race, Season 33, Episode 4, Ready to Restart the Race. We are so excited to be recapping a new episode of this season. It's already off to an epic start. But before we dive into this episode, we obviously have some special guests to introduce who will be joining us. This week we have Leo and Alana.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, y'all.
Yes.
Of course, thanks for joining us. And before we really talk about the episode, I feel like we should get a little bit of a life update from Lilana. I mean, it's been over a year since our finale, our season has wrapped up. So what has been new in the life of Leo and Alana?
Oh my gosh, too much, a lot.
We're multiplying.
We are. We're growing. Here, I can do a.
Yeah, Alana.
This is like a belly shot.
Profile.
You're literally growing.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So that's the big news.
Yes, third trimester is upon us.
And as part of that, we moved to Eugene, Oregon to be closer to family, and to get settled in a more affordable area than Boston.
Yes.
So yeah, those are kind of the two big things. We're due. The child is arriving in April.
On Leo's birthday. I mean, like,
Wait,
definitely will be on my birthday, April 7th.
yeah, like everyone tells you that due dates are sort of a joke, and I understand that, but also I love that my due date is Leo's birthday.
It will be a
April
birthday.
7th. Yeah. So try really hard to give birth on Leo's birthday.
Wait, do you know the sex of the baby at all?
The child will have a penis.
The child will
Yes. Yes. Anatomically, the child will have.
Yes.
And then we'll go from there.
Excited for y'all.
Yeah. So yeah, no, we're very, very excited. And it feels like, I don't know, to me, it feels like we know baby already because baby is a kicker.
Oh my God, this child
You're gonna
is
have a
really active.
energetic baby.
It's a little amazing racer. It's ready.
Oh,
The
yeah.
world is waiting.
It's racing every minute. Like
Baby's
right
ready to
now,
go.
loves to kick, like kicking, saying hello to everyone right now.
Oh my God! Does it ever wake you up at night?
Yes, all the time, in the middle of the night, especially. Like it will, because the thing that no one told me is that they can also kick like inside.
They don't, right. They're
It
not
doesn't
like,
just kick the outside, like you can see babies kicking when they kick the outside of your belly, but it can as easily like kick my bladder, so I have to pee really bad, or kick my stomach, or kick some sort of weird other intestine, and then it hurts, but like in a weird way because your body doesn't understand. Like your nerve endings are different in your organs, so you're just like, ow, what is
a lot of
happening?
new
Oh my God.
experiences.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's so weird to think about.
It's so weird. The
baby
weirdest thing for
your
me is like it's not even the kicking, it's this thing that the baby does where it like slowly rotates its body. And so you can feel, but like so you can like feel like probably its head or like its butt like slowly shifting and dragging across my entire uterus, and I'm just like, what?
Baby's like,
What is
gotta
happening?
be here now.
It's so weird. It's
Gotta
so
rotate.
weird.
Do you enjoy being pregnant? Is it something that's been like rewarding and
I
fun?
mean,
I guess.
I feel like I've had an easy pregnancy. It still sucks. Like I can't, like I just got to the point where I can't really tie my shoes. Like I just can't get down that far anymore without being like, ow.
Also, like with moving, you can't.
Right, I can't do
do
anything.
a lot.
But like, I don't know. It's pretty cool.
It's
like
cool. Yeah.
it's pretty
what I
cool
get.
and fascinating, but also it's cool and fascinating like as an outsider who's like, wow, my body's doing this really cool thing. But then as the person in the body, I'm like, I really wish I could sleep better and my body hurts. So I don't know. It's not so bad, but
I feel like we could mention that at our birth class, there was a moment where you can probably finish this story better than I can, but I'll start it. When the teacher was saying, the birth itself for both of you is going to be like this, think of like a really stressful experience where there were like a lot of unknowns, like you just stuff's going to get thrown at you.
They're like,
think of something like that in your life.
Like a
that's
really
happened.
stressful where you're going to constantly be on the fly and you're going to have to make decisions really quickly and there's going to be a lot of pressure put on you. And
that sounds familiar.
Have y'all ever done something like that?
Never. But it was great. It was like another version of the race prepping us for life. Like, this is it.
I love that.
You're gonna be pros. You're gonna be pros on birthday.
You know what? We'll be something and then it'll be over. And that is what they're like, what are you looking forward to about birth? And I'm like, nothing.
Then the kid will be here.
Yeah.
Also, it'll be over. And
well, no, like the pregnancy birth.
Pregnancy will be completed.
Yes.
Yeah. All pregnancies end is what I've been.
Hey, that's a good thing.
Well, we're so excited for y'all, and you're going to be great parents.
Thank you. Yeah, we can't wait to introduce baby to all of you racers, and everyone will get to know him.
Yeah. Hashtag Team Mom and Dad. You're taking over the new role.
Oh, all right. Hope we don't ruffle any feathers out there.
So let's talk about this latest episode of Amazing Race. I mean, it was the longest pit stop in Amazing Race history, 19 months. Teams gathered outside of St. Gallen Cathedral to restart the Amazing Race 33. And I don't know about y'all, but I got goosebumps when Phil was like, the world is waiting again. But unfortunately, 4 teams were not able to restart the race. You had Connie and Sam, Anthony and Spencer, Taylor and Isaiah, and Caro and Ray. What did y'all think about them not being able to come back for the restart?
I mean, I was really sad, but I loved that the race put out that video in which they were able to explain why they weren't there. Because I feel like there was a ton of speculation around like, why aren't they racing? Like, what's the reason? Blah, blah, blah. And I love that. I love that they got to say it in their own words. And it seems like everyone, especially Connie and Sam, I was like, their parents, all my hormones. I was like, I'm so happy for them. Like, not go on the race. I hope you all come back. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that Caro and Ray, it was just that like they had broken up, and I was like,
yeah,
Caro back.
I know we love Caro.
I know.
So I mean, what a like, I agree with all of that, and like so many of the reasons were like positive in a way, but also like what a letdown. Like, I mean, maybe with the exception of Connie and Sam, but like just to not be able to come back, you know, I hope they can maybe try again in the future. Like Anthony and Spencer, so dominant. Like,
yeah, they were doing so well. Yeah. I'm like, the Caro's reason is particularly frustrating because I feel like she would have come back if it wasn't for her German citizenship, which is just so wild that that's what prevented them. But
especially when they're in Europe for most of this, I feel.
I know, right?
We have to put this to rest, but the Great Race is saying, did you guys actually get contact?
Oh my God, no. No, I love that river though. Absolutely.
But I'm wearing the, so I feel like I kind of got this started by saying Cody and Nathan, I bet they're going to be the team that comes back. And then I think James, you were like, actually,
beloved lovers and us coming back. I mean, some people actually thought that was real, but
yeah. I mean, I wish, but also absolutely not.
To be fair, the only indication you gave James that it wasn't real was by adding LOL to your tweet. I think that, but I do think that, like, I'm really glad they brought back the teams that they could. Yes, first baby born on a pit stop. First Amazing Racer to be in her 3rd trimester. I'm really glad they brought back the teams that they did.
Oh my God, yes.
But I do wish that they could have brought back, 2 more teams, not like teams that have been, raced a bunch of times before, but like, maybe another team that got eliminated first, or just like anyone, right?
It's sort of cool to keep their family the same contained family though. Like, I do like that. If
they brought another team back, I think it should have been a team that got eliminated first or second, because then they wouldn't have an unfair advantage from having raced a lot.
Right.
Yeah, I think them bringing back Michael Amo and Arun and Natalia was like the right way to go. And I loved what Kim said, like, with them coming back, we're able to actually finish this race, because if only 5 teams came back, I really don't see them finishing the season. It just wouldn't have been fun to watch.
We would have seen like 7 episodes of non-elim.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Or like a bunch of teams who are still like, by the time you're down to 5, those are the teams that are really good at racing and like are really fun to watch because they've figured out their groove. But you would be watching 5 teams who still haven't figured out their groove yet. It would have been such a strange experience.
In response to Electronic Callie, their comment, I thought that conversation seemed really highly edited. Like when, like it really, Phil said like, "How do you all feel?" And then it was just like, who knows how much conversation happened? And then Ryan was like, "Welcome back," right? And like, I just wish we could have seen a little bit more of that.
I agree, Marco. I love Arun and Natalia. I was so happy to see. I feel like they're really going to step it up if they can just get their directions right.
Agreed. I feel like they had, well, I was actually listening to Arun and Natalia's recap, and they had mentioned that when they first got called by, I don't know if it was casting or the producers, they had mentioned that they would be coming back to either do some pit stops or the finale. And so they were really confused as to like what they were fishing around about. And they didn't actually get the call until about 6 weeks before they left saying, we're restarting the race and you're back as a team. And so they were saying that they really didn't have a lot of time to prepare where all the teams were in the race.
Absolutely. Although I will say Arun seems fit AF. Like he was like running. So I was like, he's done something right.
Zaddy?
Literal.
On the flip side, though, I was listening to Dusty and Kayla's recap, which is PitStop podcast. I love hearing the racers' insight from their true experience. But they were even saying
2 different teams. That's so cool.
And they were saying that they were a little scared. I think it was more so Kayla saying that they were scared to see them come back because, you know, for 19 months, the teams who are still actively racing were wondering if they were ever going to A, come back, and B, if they were, what that might look like. Where Arun and Natalia and Michael and Mo have already experienced what it's like to be eliminated and then can learn from their mistakes as to what they were doing wrong that got them eliminated and come back stronger than ever. So it's interesting to hear the contrast of like the active teams still racing and what they felt about the eliminated teams coming back versus the eliminated teams coming back.
I feel like you learn just as much by racing, even if you're not eliminated, though, because everyone makes a mistake. Yeah. So your mistake just wasn't as big, so you were able to like adjust in the moment and stay in the race.
Yeah, for me, I would think. Well, first of all, I'm thinking back. If this had happened to us and the race got suspended, and then like a few teams couldn't come back, and then Nathan and Cody and Kelly and Levon came back, I would be like, shit, these are 2 really strong teams who we were lucky to have eliminated early, and now we have to try again to beat them. But the other thing is like when they were the teams that didn't get eliminated and came back, I would assume that they could keep training, like they could be focused. They could assume that they might start the race again. Whereas the teams that got eliminated, like you said,
6 weeks is not a lot of time.
Right.
Like,
so to me, that seems like a disadvantage.
But they don't know that, like, right? Like when you're saying welcome, you don't necessarily know how much time they had at that point to prep.
Right. Ryan didn't know how much time they had to prepare, for sure. But I think like as an outsider, and now especially knowing that, like that seems like a huge disadvantage. And we haven't even talked about the unaired, what was it? Speed bump.
Like the speed bump. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like even Penn looked completely different. Like it looks like he had been working out a lot during that time, and then
he'd been making videos.
And his hair was shorter. He looked good.
He looked good. And then you have like, I know so the teams had to board one of 3 buses to go to their Roadblock challenge, but Dusty and Ryan were even talking about how they did like altitude training because Dusty.
Oh my God, I know. I was like, please. We're already physically like dominant as a team. Now you're doing altitude training.
What else can we do? Altitude.
I can't wait to see them hit like something that they really struggle with because I mean, like, okay, so they had to cross a mountain pass, right? Like they had to. Did they do the flag challenge? I think
they did well at the flags.
Yeah, well, that was impressive. Like they clearly have some skills. So it's always just exciting to see what people get stumped by and how they react to that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Phil did say to them that they're making some adjustments now that they're restarting the race. One of them being that they're going to be flying on charters. And the other one is that they're going to be avoiding public transportation. So there's going to be a lot more self-driving. I know, Leo, we talked a little bit about this on Twitter, I feel like a week or 2 ago, about how like the chartered flight, it doesn't really make much of a difference.
No.
Right. I think that in earlier seasons of the race, my understanding is there's a lot more of that like real time chaotic trying to get a ticket, trying to like beat the public on and off of the plane, which like ended up being a pretty bad look for the race, right? Like now it's much more tightly controlled.
Also, I feel like they don't do that because sometimes there were teams that would end up in like different continents and then their crew would be stuck with them on the wrong continent, which was hilarious, but like probably really annoying for production. Right. Yeah, I agree. The self-driving is an incredible addition, and I love more self-driving challenges is going to be hilarious.
I think I shared with all the racers who on this season being bummed out that it was
an automatic. Yeah.
Literally.
I'm sure that because even Raquel was saying like I practiced so hard over the past couple of months to do a manual. And I was like, well, good for you. You got off lucky because you got to do automatic on your first leg.
Just wait for a Trabant where it's a manual that you have to learn all over again.
I'm sure there will be some stick shifting.
A lot of wiggle going on.
I thought that they were going to have to drive those buses they had to get into. And I was like, that will be hilarious. But then they did not do that.
Oh my God. Yeah, I feel like, I wonder how the leg would have been different had it been stick shift. Like what teams would have actually struggled and if the placements would have actually changed at all.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
There was one team, I can't remember who got in and was like, oh, thank God this isn't automatic. And I was like, you've had 19 months to practice. Like, thank God this isn't automatic. Like, what is wrong with you? I wish
it was definitely one of the teams that had not been eliminated because I thought the same thing. Like you should have been practicing.
I was like, come on, dude.
But on the other hand, like, time flies and like it's really easy to not get around to doing the one thing that you have to do.
Well, and I think like in the first 3 episodes, Akbar and Sherry, they struggled a lot with the stick shift, and then also Connie and Sam struggled a little bit.
And
I
Ray
think
and Caro.
and Ray and Caro. I mean, those 2 teams are gone, but maybe it was Akbar and Sherry.
Maybe it was. Oh my gosh.
And I'll say this again: like learning to drive stick in the U.S. is really hard to do nowadays because most cars, you can't buy a new car that's a stick shift in most places.
Right.
And even like us, when we tried to find a car, like we asked so many people if they had one. Nobody had it in California.
We had to take like a special class.
Yeah, so it is.
So we're thinking of buying a beater pickup truck here in Eugene, Oregon. So most of my family lives.
You are becoming an Oregander.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
Most of my family lives our family, but the family I grew up with and in-laws and kids and everything. It's like a commune. We all live within a mile of each other now. And so we were thinking between like these 4 family units, it'd be good to have a beater pickup truck if we ever need to just like move something around. And so I would like it to be a stick shift because we have a Subaru that's an automatic and it's just like,
well, when we
looking for something
like,
to do.
Leo had a stick shift car. Like Leo was driving a stick every day when we, so he taught me how, he taught me how to drive stick in case there was one of those challenges where the other partner had to drive. But if we didn't have that stick shift car, I don't know what we would have done.
So what I'm getting at is that if anyone needs to learn stick shift,
you're opening a school.
Coming to Eugene.
He's a pretty good teacher. Like I will say, like I'm a bad student because I get frustrated and angry.
She's recalcitrant.
But yeah, it's fun. Yeah, but it's hard to do. Yeah, you have to like find a friend or take a class or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, I almost flew home because my parents were like, we know people that have stick, but we just didn't have enough time to make a trip.
Also, what an absurd reason to go home. You're like, great. In Texas,
and how do you explain it to people? You're like, I just really want to drive a stick shift. I flew from California to learn.
A lot of my friends would have been really suspicious.
I think, I mean, especially, and Will, like, since you had already been on his show, I think it wouldn't have taken that much thinking to be like, oh, why do you, reality star, want to learn stick shift?
What do you do?
Why stick shift? So teams make their way to the top of the Schwalgalp. Did I pronounce that correct? The Schwalgalp. It's like 8,000 feet above sea level, which already the idea of the altitude seemed exhausting as hell.
Not for Ryan and Dusty. Or as we've been calling them, Rusty and
blah blah.
Blah blah.
Yeah.
Ryan.
The roadblock says, who wants to take in the view? And for this roadblock, one team member had to navigate the Via Ferrata to find their next clue. And what I thought was so beautiful about this roadblock is if you stand in one spot, you can see 6 different countries:
So cool.
Austria, Liechtenstein, Italy, France, Germany, and Switzerland. It was a beautiful roadblock.
Yeah, I loved seeing the weather come in also
Oh my
over the course of
God.
it.
At first I was like, oh, I could have maybe done this one because you're hooked up to a harness, so that would feel safe. And then you see the part where you're like walking with your guide behind you like you're a dog, and I was like, absolutely not. I would have been just like Sherry.
A goat.
A goat. Well, I don't know. Well, they're like walking you.
Yeah.
Like on a leash. You're literally on a leash.
Yeah.
So I don't personally have a fear of heights per se, but like when I'm in a situation like that, I have to like suspend my disbelief, I guess, and just put all of my trust in the equipment and like the professional people who are like telling me that I won't die if I slip and fall, because I definitely might slip and fall. And that was the same feeling, totally different situation, but same feeling as walking off the building in Berlin. Like, you just can't think about it.
You just hope.
And that's the best I can do. Like, if you had a true fear of heights, I don't know what that would be like.
Oh my God. I just remember, I agree. It's like walking down that building. She goes, I walk up there, got on the platform. She like barely hooked me in. And then all of a sudden was like, okay, go. And I was like, am I connected?
Like, you're tall. Well, let's see how this goes.
Like, I'm not comfortable. But you just can't think about it and you just go.
Well, like even on the way up the mountain, you hear Sherry and Akbar kind of speculating what they think this is going to be. Both of them hate heights, so they're kind of already at a disadvantage. Right. And I remember watching it thinking, why is Sherry doing this roadblock?
That's what I'm saying.
When I rewatched it, though, she does say Akbar's too big for this one. So I'm wondering if there was
someone said that to me. Yeah, someone said that to me on Twitter because I was like, why is Sherry doing the next heights one too? No fair.
Yeah.
And they're like,
totally a size thing.
It's like Gary, like how Gary couldn't do the building one. Yeah.
So poor Sherry.
I know. I feel so bad for her, but it also makes me frustrated because Akbar kept being like, I should have done this one. I should have done this one. And I was like, dude, you couldn't have. So just support your partner. Like,
But I liked how all the teams were super supportive of her because obviously she's struggling. I don't know if y'all saw, but she's literally drenched in sweat.
Oh, yes.
She finished. And I was like, oh, it's really nice that all the teams are actually leaving her with like, you can do it. You can do it as they're leaving. Yeah, I really liked that there was a little bit of camaraderie.
You know,
it's like the vibe of our season. Like everyone just wants you to like
first.
Right.
I love seeing that, but also I can't help thinking, all of that goodwill was because they weren't seeing her as a threat at that point. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have animosity toward teams who are in the back and you feel confident that, they're going to have a hard time. But the moment they show up and you're like, ooh, we're technically tied right now.
Right.
Yeah. Or thinking like, oh, I have a huge lead now because Sherry's struggling.
Right.
So of course you want to support her, and also you probably want to build some goodwill.
Oh, Adam Millwood in the chat said Sherry did the roadblock because she thought he would be too big. There was actually no note in the clue.
Oh, interesting.
So maybe that's why we saw Akbar saying, I should have done it. It was an oversight.
We see Zoe in the background.
What's up, Zoe?
To be honest, it's actually good for her to be doing more roadblocks early on. I mean, then it leaves him to step up because she's like, I already did it. It's your turn.
Right.
You need to have
to at some point.
Yeah.
Right. Also, there's probably going to be a lot of like, I was thinking about this season because things that are socially distanced and safe are like jumping out of an airplane, like a bunch of really scary height stuff, like bungee jumping. You're way more than 6 feet away from someone when you're falling down a bungee jump. Right? Like, there's going to be so much of that this season, I feel. So it's like,
you're not going to be like in a club.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I like what Mark was saying in the chat about Lulu and Lala. It was Lulu, I believe, did it. I think Lulu and Lala, out of all the teams that came back, has actually shown the most growth.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for them. I really want them to do well.
Yeah, they worked really well. They were communicating really well. They were super supportive of each other. But yeah, Lulu was like crushing this roadblock. It didn't seem like the altitude really phased her. I mean, I mean, Ryan also was beast moding this
But
Roadblock.
Ryan trained for this, and like Lulu and Lala were altitude training, and she kept up.
No, they were in Florida, right?
Yeah, they were doing their podcast and like hanging out with their family and like dealing with COVID. Like it's just yeah. You should say something about that you thought about Sherry and Akbar about like not seeing them, like how they couldn't watch the episode.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just thought like, well, let me put it this way: I wish that we could have, if we had had a pause on the race, that we could have had the opportunity to watch the first couple episodes, because we would have learned a lot about like other teams, but more so ourselves. And I mean, just looking back at those first couple of episodes for us, it was so incredibly chaotic and stressful. And, we didn't have a chance to really see that from the outside. And Akbar, I think, maybe is learning something about how he interacts with Sherry by seeing it on TV. I'm sure people are giving him, an earful about it on some level, like we've all been there. And, it's almost a bummer that like the teams didn't have a chance to see even just clips of like some of the things that would be aired, so that then they could restart.
And the thing that was impressive to me is like, even without Lulu and Lala seeing themselves played back, they still were clearly adjusted and were better communicators. Like that is so cool.
They were so chaotic the first 3 episodes, like constantly. They were even bickering about things that didn't even have to do.
God, I know. I was like, girls.
And I was like,
the ex-boyfriend.
Yeah. And they came back and they literally did everything so well. Like they didn't struggle in any of the challenges. They didn't argue. I'm excited for them because I really want them to do well. I love a female team.
Speaking of, I'm seeing I was just browsing the stats of the first few episodes on Wikipedia, right? They have all the placements. Raquel and Kayla have been pretty strong. Like they're not getting as much airtime, I think. Like maybe that'll change, but they've been like 3rd, 4th.
Yeah, they're doing.
They're my winner pick. I'm rooting for those two.
They're your winner pick.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't know about Brexit.
They just seem to always have like a positive attitude, and they're super supportive of each other. They have not fought or bickered or had any sort of like tense moments between the two of them, and they just seem to like really be enjoying the race, which I think is obviously a contributing factor to being successful.
But I hope we get to see more of their personality than them commenting on like being an all-female team, right? Like I really hope to see an all-female team winner, but like, they just haven't gotten that much airtime, and every time we see them, that's what they've said.
That's very spirited.
It's just Leo's sister who's just making fun of us.
Can you block her? We will take all the viewers we can get.
Oh my God. Also, another thing I wanted to point out was Arun. He got to the clue box, but then kept saying, "Where are the flags?" And when I watched Arun and Natalia's recap, apparently like in the additional info or somewhere within the clue, it mentioned that they would have to find their next clue at the intersection of 6 countries. So stumbling upon the clue box, he thought it was just a little too easy. Like, this is really all we have to do is just find the clue box. So he thought there might be flags. They thought he might have to look for something.
So like he was talking to Penn and Ray about things being too easy and trying to complicate the challenges.
Love that.
So after they leave the roadblock, they end up going to their detour, which is punch it or toss it. In punch it, teams had to attach ornaments to a Swiss belt so that they told a story to receive their next clue from the master belt maker. And toss it, teams had to learn and correctly perform a Swiss flag throwing routine known as the, I'm not even going to say it, but the Funish to receive their next clue.
Fallen Schwignen.
Wait, oh my gosh, I
Haley on here. He speaks German.
I saw a question in the chat that I meant to share. It might have been Callie, but who out of the two of y'all would have probably ended up doing the roadblock?
Wait, the roadblock?
The roadblock, yeah, because it would have been heights, so we would have done.
So I would.
Yeah, you would have done it.
Yeah,
Leo would have definitely done it. Absolutely. What about you guys?
I think you would have ended up doing it, not knowing what it was.
No,
you don't think?
No, I think I think I would have made you do it because
Get
we
it out
would
of the
have
way.
needed you to do more of them.
True. Okay. I'll take that. I'll take that explanation.
I feel like I would have done the first. Oh, are they starting over with roadblock counts though?
That's what someone
Somebody
said in the
said
live
that.
chat.
Okay, interesting.
That's weird. Why? Like the first 2 episodes still are part of the race.
But
Yeah,
also, I feel like even moving forward with how many legs might be left, like that rule isn't going to really matter.
No,
Yeah.
they might have decreased the amount you could do. So say it's instead of 6, it's 4.
You can do it.
Mm. That's a good point. I would love to get confirmation on that. Maybe.
I know.
Yeah, I
We
would
should
have
talk to the
loved.
producer.
I would have loved doing that roadblock though.
Producer.
Me.
So for the detour, though, either punch it or toss it. What side of the detour do you think y'all would have done?
Oh, punch it.
I think
We would have done punch it. I mean, here's the thing. Even if we'd shown up to toss it, so I have this weird thing, like I have like an injury, so I can't straighten my left arm. I would not have been able to do toss it.
You stick your arms in the air.
Yeah, see, this is I mean, it's not like totally. This is as straight as it goes. Which was why the stupid tightrope challenge was so hard, because they kept telling me to hold the plate and I like can't flip my hand over. It was ridiculous. So we would, I like can't, this is as flat as it gets. It's like ridiculous.
You were like, I hold plates at an ankle.
Right. I was like, I don't know how to do this. So we would have, even if we had decided to do toss it, we would have left.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we would have shown up at toss it. We would have seen what it was. You would have shown them how you could toss it.
Right.
And then if there was a way for you to
Yeah.
toss it, then we maybe could have
But
learned
it
the
seems
dance.
so hard,
But
yeah.
I think in general, like punching it just seemed
It seemed like
pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
with
except
a
for
draft,
except for Michael and Mo overthinking it and then putting it
which
backwards.
we obviously would have done.
I know.
Let's talk about the punch it side of the detour. So Michael and Mo and Natalia and Arun were the only 2 teams that did this. And you hear Natalia even say when they get there, let's watch the demonstration. So I thought it was interesting that Michael and Mo were confused as to which direction to paint the story on the belt.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that was something, if you watch the demonstration, would have been
Quite
something
clear.
that would have stuck out.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're watching something and it's technically reversed for you when you're watching from like the other side of a table, that could have been how we're reading it the same way that he's looking at it, but in actuality it needs to be read.
Right.
Yeah.
If he had been like, oh, it's
Mirror,
not
we need to
right,
mirror it.
instead of
It's like
fucking-
memorizing the colors and turning that into
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you're letting them off a little easy. A belt has 2 ends. There's a buckle and a tail.
Yes, I agree.
First of all, if you're gonna guess, if
Guess the
you
buckle.
don't
If
even
he
have a
gets with the
demonstration,
buckle.
wouldn't you start with a buckle?
I mean, but this is one of those things where it's like so easy to talk about from our like this
we
is couch
never would have
commentating
made
at
that
its best.
mistake.
We would have definitely made that mistake, right? Like,
But no, I agree. I think that just from watching the demonstration, like knowing from the buckle
yeah. I
onward.
also loved the like interpretation of symbols. I thought that was a fun challenge.
Yeah, that was a fun tradition to learn about. I would love a belt like that.
Oh yeah, Leo
Maybe we
would
could
love a
make one.
blinged belt. Yeah.
It reminded me
Yes.
of like rodeo and tech.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
People would show up to high school with these huge belt buckles, and you're just kind of like, why?
Why?
I
To
will.
exhibit your wealth on the farm.
I ride horses.
I will say, even though I obviously never would have made the mistake like what Michael and Mo did, I thought it was so relatable, and I just loved hearing them like verbalize and their overthinking of it.
Oh my god.
You know, they were so self-aware of the fact that there was like a 50% chance that they were
God.
doing it wrong.
And like I can't imagine the pressure of being like, we don't want to be the team to be eliminated first again.
Yeah,
Like that has got to weigh on you and mess with your mind in so many ways. Like I feel for them. That was
Especially after such a long period of time.
I know. I thought for sure it was going to be an on-limb, but that's speaking
Same.
to my
Same. I thought it was weird to do in a limb.
Yeah, they all did the toss it detour. But I wonder, like, I'm curious about like if the toss it detour was full and so they had to do the buckle one, or like I'm curious about why, like.
Well, Arun and Natalia, when they read that it was a choreographed routine, they said absolutely.
Right.
Like they,
Which was a good thing they learned from their version of the chicken dance.
and
I
for
wonder
Pam,
if Michael and Mo felt the same way, where they're like, "Oh no, we're not going to do a choreographed routine."
Right.
They can sing, but they can't move, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny though. Because I feel like in their wedding, they were Michael and Mo
were the singing cops, so they're good at singing.
The singing cops, right.
Yeah. They're
One thing that in somebody said that the 5 teams that did the toss it are the ones that were 1 through 5, but you were saying that Aruna and Natalia in their recap said
the
they
reason
didn't
why
air the speed bump,
yeah,
but if they didn't have to do the speed bump, Aruna and Natalia thought that they were 3rd place.
Yeah, they would have gotten 3rd, they said, if they had
interesting. Why did they cut that? It looked hilarious. It was like a super big cabbage. I wanted to watch it.
Also, I don't love that they had to do a speed bump. I obviously wish they had aired it, since that had a huge impact on the outcome, and it would have been fun to watch.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a non-elim that saved them. I don't know. It just kind of seemed like it was so likely that the outcome would then be that the team that was eliminated 1st or 2nd then waited and came back, this whole thing. And then it's they're barely even in the race.
Yeah. I think it was how the challenge or the speed bump was designed, because from what I gathered with Aruna and Natalia's recap is that it was kind of out of the way. It felt very remote from where everything else had been taking place in the leg prior to the speed bump, and they were on 1-lane roads just to get there, and they got lost. So a lot of the clips we saw, maybe Michael and Mo or Aruna and Natalia getting lost, had nothing to do with
yeah, totally.
It was clips of them going to the speed bump task. And they said because of the pandemic, they couldn't pull over and really go up to someone's business or a house to ask for directions. They were kind of, left to fend for themselves. So that, I feel already put these 2 teams at a disadvantage, and it was inevitable for one of these 2 teams to get eliminated.
I hate in my mind the first eliminated team is totally random. It has nothing to do with your skill level. You just were given a bad task that for some reason that day you couldn't complete, but maybe on a different day you could have, and another team would have been eliminated. And so I hate that the same team got eliminated first twice, because then people are like, oh well, it's meant to be, clearly they're not as good racers. But if there's a speed bump that
right.
Maybe
they didn't air.
Maybe
it's
not some sort of skill problem. It's just that they got dealt a bad hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well, yeah. I mean, that just because they had the speed bump, it always meant that either Aruna and Natalia or Michael and Mo were going to be eliminated.
Right. Which it sucks.
Yeah.
Well, especially because I feel Sherry and Akbar, a hypothetical. If they didn't do the speed bump, I wonder if Sherry and Akbar would have actually been eliminated, because I think the amount of time it took her to do the roadblock, on top of the fact that they had to take the cable car all the way back down to the bottom. They were the only team to do that by themselves. And then on top of having to do the detour of toss it, I wonder if they would have been eliminated.
I know, it's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely what it seemed like 3/4 of the way through the episode.
And then I also wondered too, with the toss it side, Ryan and Dusty had that moment of weakness where they were second guessing themselves. They were I don't think we can do this. Should we switch detours? I'm curious if they ended up switching detours, how the placements would have ultimately shaped up. I mean, obviously switching detours was a good thing that they didn't, because they were able to do the routine.
So well. Yeah, but I was do it, hung in cheese, switch detours. I was so excited for them to switch. I was I love a switch.
That was one of the things that we went into the race saying, no matter what, we won't switch detours. And I'm not really sure that was actually a good strategy.
Yeah.
It does seem like it can work out sometimes. And I guess our theory was, unless we have broken all our bottles, or if we're completely halted for some other reason.
We could have switched the Spears detour, and then who knows how our race would have been different. But we had promised ourselves we wouldn't do it.
We could, and I think there's a reason, there is a strategy there. You could it's a gambling, right? You could get it on the next try, and you don't know. It's sort of the devil, but I'm not so sure that it is such a bad thing to switch detours.
Yeah.
No, but I think with a performing challenge, I almost feel if you have the opportunity to actually do it for the judge, you're better off practicing while actually being judged.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
You get some feedback.
Yeah, I feel like that's
You
what
also
we
want to
learned
wear
is,
down the
like-
judges.
Let them
like-
see your improvement over time. And they
Right,
will
most
be
improved. Like
Well,
my swim team trophy when I was 8.
Oh, I didn't know that.
most
Yeah, it's also
improved.
curious because there were things that I think those teams thought would have disqualified them, like the flag touching the floor. But I saw that happen, and then judges passed people. So it was like you just learn about what's okay and what's not okay. Yeah, we should always make the judge.
Yeah,
do it.
always perform on like
Make
your
the
third
judge.
attempt.
Right. Yeah. Like we had the judge checking our truck. Like we
Oh
would
my
move
God.
one thing and be like, check, and then
Check.
move on. Check.
It also makes other teams like not have the judge.
Yeah.
Like, you take the judge is another strategy.
Yeah, you might as well just be judge while you practice, because for the off chance you actually get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Fusty and Rah Rah got it like right afterwards.
Rusty and Rara. So yeah, they seem to have, a great time with the toss it. They didn't have to switch
they're doing
pairs
great.
after all. And then you see like Raquel being so encouraging of Kayla. I mean, Kayla seemed to be in her head a little bit about this detour as well. But let's talk the pit stop. Ryan and Dusty get first. Congratulations to them. Kim and Penn get second. But
Right behind them.
right behind them.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not. They're pretty close.
But my
Yeah.
favorite moment of this episode was actually seeing Raquel and Kayla and Lulu and Lala, like that foot race between their two teams to the pit stop. And then when they get to the pit stop, that like girl power moment of like, we would love to see an all-female team win. It's been a while. It hasn't happened since 25 with Amy and Maya. And I would love to see these two teams succeed and do well.
Right. I was like, make an alliance. Do it. Like we know the words. Like this is
Girl
it.
power.
Like,
No, they learned not to use the word alliance because they were able to see 32 during their pit
Right,
stop.
right.
Learned the backlash of using the word alliance.
They're just like, we will be friends who might help each
Girl
other.
power, or
Yeah.
the bromance that no longer is happening because Anthony and Spencer
Right.
didn't come back.
Which frankly I'm sort of happy about. So that's
Yeah, that wasn't feel good when the two guy teams were like.
I was like, meh.
Yes.
Adam Millwood said you couldn't ask questions or even talk to the judge at the toss it detour according to
Yeah,
him.
which is the way a judge should be. Like that is the way an
Unlike
Amazing
the
Race
cake judge.
Yeah, Leo and I are still so salty about the cake judge because we're like, the cake judge shouldn't be talking
He just
to
wanted
you.
airtime.
No.
We talked about the cake thing, and it was like it should have been done in two parts. You have to answer the question first, and it's a yes or a no, it's correct. And then the cake part is a yes or a no. But if you tell people whatever, the UK is not part of the EU, you literally give them the answer.
And also, it would have been hilarious to see them try to name the countries that they had, or the flags that they had chosen, because I bet some people would have been like, we don't actually know what country this is for. We just saw someone else making this flag and they passed. Like, it would have been very funny.
So much of the fun of these struggles is seeing teams not understand what they're wrong about. Like, that was basically our entire experience on the Amazing Race, was not being sure what we were wrong about.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, okay, like let's say the detour with the spears. That's like Genghis Khan saying to you, you're not counting the right spears.
You're one off. He said like you're one off.
Which
if he had been like, we're one, it's the equivalent of saying you're one off.
Which honestly,
we would have been like, chill.
Which
like,
honestly, or your spear count is wrong.
Which they
what
didn't
James
even
said.
say
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
Which honestly is
you
like,
didn't even,
no,
we didn't even know that.
They just said no.
We knew our spears were wrong because that was the number we kept messing up, but no one ever told us.
But we didn't. But the only reason we knew is just because we knew. Like, we didn't have any evidence that we were counting.
Like, you knew, but there was no confirmation.
We just knew, right? And so to me, like, looking back, that is something that I'm like weirdly proud of. That like, in spite of the fact that we had all we had was the con saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
And if we had questioned that our horse count was off, or our cry count was off, or the other one was off,
we would have been.
We could have been. But we were actually still in the race by the time we got to the yurts, because we said we just have to keep the other numbers right. There's something with these spears.
But no, it was cool because afterwards, our crew for that leg, after we got eliminated, and we're like, I'm like sobbing. Our camera guy, whose name I am completely blank, Chris was our camera guy that episode. He came up and he was like, it is incredible that you guys somehow knew it was the spears, because you could have really messed with yourselves. And I was like, thank you.
But yeah, that they didn't have the opportunity in the cake challenge to to have that experience.
Anyways, yeah, I love when the judges like no.
Especially
Like,
when
it
you
needs to
ask
be-
you ask such a like easy yet confusing question of like which countries are in the EU. Like it
Right.
feels very straightforward, but it's easy to mess up, especially because of Brexit. And then you have like Norway, which is kind of Europe, but
Right.
it's not.
Yeah, there were some countries that I think I probably
I think
would have
Switzerland
gotten.
isn't maybe in the EU. I'm pretty sure.
This is where I'm like,
they're not in the Eurozone for sure. So it's like it's weird.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Yeah, exactly. Switzerland.
But for the toss it, I didn't know that they couldn't ask questions, because usually if you do a challenge like that, you have like a teacher. You have somebody that's like you're going to do
right.
this,
It was
and you're
just
gonna
the guy
do this.
doing it over and over again.
He was going slow enough to where I feel like it would be pretty easy to be like, okay, here's the sequence of moves.
Yeah, it's almost
You're a
like
dance teacher.
you two would have been really good at that flag challenge. Like that is right up your, and you're tall enough that the flag would have like it's easier to maneuver.
I
the
know
flag
they should
when
have
you're
given taller people a longer flag.
Longer
I wish
pole.
they had to do it to music and actually be on rhythm, because then it's
Right.
almost like I'm going to take my time to make sure I get these moves, then I'm going to do it as slow as I can, and then be like, voila.
Or on the same count.
With children clapping to the beat.
Yeah.
And then you had to remember the song later in the right order.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
And I hated that some of the teams, when they finished the toss it, were not at the same time. Granted, it was the same as the bottle dance, so I guess it's fine. Like James finished before I did for the bottle dance.
You can hold it. Yeah.
You're right. Like
Yeah,
they should have been in sync, and actually, that's
Or
why.
like
Yeah,
semi in sync, right?
Yeah. I
That's
do
a good
like the
point.
idea.
Maybe it's not a paired dance in like the tradition, so it doesn't matter. Like if it's just one person doing it, then it wouldn't. Like if you're,
right,
if
it's like
you're,
a group of
I don't know.
Me-
It was a fun challenge.
I think
this was like a. Sorry, go ahead.
I think like all challenges, they should judge the racers by the standard of like a 6-year-old child of the culture who's doing the activity.
That's fair. Yeah, I just thought this was a good lane. I mean, like we talked about this with our season. This was a great lane because it was like beautiful destinations, like really different landscapes, like city, mountain. You get a roadblock, you get a detour, and then you get Phil. Like
Giant
it was
cabbage.
Really, yeah, you get a giant cabbage. So you don't.
Oh,
see
do
it.
you want to know? I know, Alana, you said it looked cool. Do you want to know what they had to do for the speed bump?
Yes.
So in the deleted scene,
Oh.
this is something that they didn't show, obviously, but this was their speed bump, which was at the end of the leg, which I thought was interesting that it wasn't like in the middle of the leg.
Yeah.
According to Arun and Natalia's recap, they had to have one person be like a caller and then the other one be the roller. And so Natalia was the
Oh, and it's
caller
raining.
and had to tell Arun how to push this giant cabbage. I think they were inside of the cabbage, because see how there's a little bit of an opening
Oh
there.
my god.
They had to push the cabbage or roll the cabbage through a course to knock over hay barrels.
So it was like a survivor challenge where like the people are blindfolded and someone's instructing
That's
them.
hard. I feel like our like roadblocks were, or our detours were, or what are
You mean
speed bumps?
the speed
wow.
bumps that Haley and Caitlin did?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is
Putting on a mustache.
yeah, we're like pretty easy, or at least
They like
look
shoveled some poo.
right. They had to like clean a little bit of poo at
What
the
was the other one?
at the
And
Chantilly
Karen.
They
Castle,
had to
and then
get
they had to
beard.
put on those beards.
Yeah.
Correct, beards.
Yeah, but both of those
Yeah.
are like fast and the same location as where the roadblocks were.
Yeah, that's brutal to be right before the pit
Yeah,
stop
that
and then be
sucks.
sent to like a different location to roll around in a cabbage ball.
Yeah, I again, it goes back to if the structure of this leg would have been different, I wonder if Michael and Mo would have actually been eliminated.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I like their attitude so much. Oh well.
Yeah, they were great.
There should just be a season of all first eliminated teams.
I 100% agree. Every single first eliminated team, there's so much more, like so much personality from the ones that I can even remember, and then like just in general, like so much more. No offense, but so much more interesting than Winners at War, right? Because it's like teams you've never met, and like
It would feel like almost like a new
It would
season.
be a brand new
It would feel
Yeah.
like a brand new season. And I've seen a first boot, like, you know, a theory going around about how people would love to see this. And love and always love to see that Nathan and Cody are included in a lot of those lists.
I feel like they could have won our season in a different world.
Absolutely.
So,
They were a strong team.
We've said this on so many other, podcasts, but like going into it, I mean, they were on the first flight from Trinidad to Tobago, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of validated our concern that they were like a real threat. Yeah, just going into it, they seemed smart, strong, like positive attitude. What more do you need?
I was like, shit, they seem like they're really good communicators. Like, what are we gonna do with
If
this?
they would have, like you said, on any given day, if that wasn't the roadblock and it was something else, they would have been through, and like maybe Gary and D'Angelo would have been eliminated. And that would have been a completely different race.
Yeah.
I feel like if Gary and D'Angelo were the first eliminated team, the conversation with Phil at the pit stop would have lasted for hours.
It would have been so
D'Angelo
good.
just like addressing issues.
Oh, he would have been yelling. Oh my God.
Well, I was so bummed to see Michael and Mo get eliminated again, but that leaves us with 6 teams moving forward. To touch on it again, I was still upset that this wasn't a non-elimination. Like, I think it should have been.
I was like, to bring everyone back and then send someone, especially when we don't have all 10 teams returning. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because of the keep on racing leg that they did. It kind of balanced out that at this point of the race.
I just feel bad to do all that prep and like have to ensure that you're COVID safe and
after all that. And then my question is like, are they sent to sequester? Like, what happens now? Like,
that's a great question. Or do they fly on the chartered flight the entire course?
Right. Like, what is going on with those teams? I'm so curious.
You could heckle the other teams.
That would be fun.
I wonder how long the new restart filmed for. Do we know?
I bet like not long. I bet like 2 weeks. Like probably not very long.
I don't think it was very, but they had to do a 2-week quarantine, I think.
When is this filmed? Like, what was the time?
September of last year.
September,
okay. September of 2021.
Yeah.
So it was really recent. Wow.
Yeah, I feel like you have to rush it because by the end of September, things were getting gnarly again.
Yeah. I was going to say,
just doing this all the time.
Dan in the chat is right. There were supposed to be 8 because
that was right, because they got to the start line.
I have to catch up on the
Isaiah
videos.
and Taylor got to the start line and then found out that I can't remember, someone in their like immediate family
his brother passed away.
His brother passed away. Like, so horrible.
I was just gonna say, I like, as a viewer, I don't like seeing teams get eliminated, and like I would love, what if like the race had like a team getting eliminated every 3 episodes, right? Like, I like watching the race. Like, every time a team gets eliminated, it means the race is closer to ending, and like that's why I'm like, even for our season, I think I've heard a lot of people say like, I wish the first episode had been 2 hours at least, right? Because so much happened and you could get to know so many more of the teams. And so I don't really buy any of the, like, there was a keep on racing leg and so there had to be an elimination.
But they were probably
trying
to speed it up in case Kobe got that again. Like, I wonder if there will be a non-elim leg, like, or if they're just going to try to cut people to finish the season.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a non-elimination next week.
Ooh, you heard it here first, folks.
I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, next week it's called Stairway to Hell. Teams race through Switzerland again, where racers are going to bungee jump over 700 feet over a dam, which I believe this is actually a switchback.
Damn.
Is this the one that Brooke and Scott did?
Good job, Will.
I think it was season 13 or 14.
Which country?
Okay.
Where are they going to be?
Switzerland.
Oh, still in Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Wait, no, I want to look this up.
Bungee jump is a switchback. Which
they love doing those scary dam jumps. There's something about jumping against this sheer wall of concrete. Like, absolutely not.
So yeah, I saw a question in the chat. Let's see where it went. They want to know from Leo and Alana. Callie, which teams are you two rooting for?
Okay. So here's the thing. Leo's running a pool.
Oh, true.
That I picked before we knew anyone. And in that, I was like, I pick Sherry and Akbar because they're D1 athletes, they're educators, they're going to be such good communicators, they're going to be in shape. And
I bet they'll be really supportive of each other.
And then I saw it, and I saw all their clips where they're like, we're this feel-good family. And I was like, I see them winning. And now I'm like, but I still like want them to win because I'd love to win the pool. I feel like I'm actually rooting for Lulu and Lala. Like I really like them. I really like
the
their
pink team.
energy.
Right.
Yeah, I would love to see an all-female team win. But more than that, I just like them and I feel like they'll be fun to keep watching. Like I hope they go far.
So
Yeah.
I don't have a pick in the pool because I'm the commissioner, and that would be the conflict of interest. But I can't help but love watching Kim and Penn. I think their videos on YouTube are so funny and so well produced and so much talent. So I want them at least to keep racing. But I don't know. I think Raquel and Kayla are really strong. I always root for like a perceived underdog, and so I don't want Ryan and Dusty to win. Although like they seem like great guys. Like I don't nothing personal. It's just like they seem like they are so strong.
They're just like cast to win. I feel like that's like what everyone expects is like the young, physically like strong, like all male team to win. So it's just like not as fun.
And I guess my final kind of wild card pick would be Arun and Natalia because I think they're also really entertaining to watch.
I don't know. I feel
and they're huge super fans, and the fact that they're able to come back, learn from their mistakes, I can see them going.
Yeah. And they're like smart and fit. They know the race, like, you know. Yeah. So we'll see.
We'll see. I'm worried about their ability to navigate. We'll see.
Oh my gosh.
I still like Raquel and Kayla, and I also like Arun and Natalia. Just because their energy it's fun, it's nice, it's like
they're wholesome,
full of joy.
Yeah.
I love that when they were doing the updates, Arun was like, Natalia's married now. Like it was immediately like, and she's like, yeah, I am. It's true. And like, yeah, she's like, yeah, I'm married. Like
he's just so proud of her.
Yeah, it's so sweet. He's like, I did it.
Who are you rooting for? Who do you think?
That's what I just said.
Arun and Natalia.
And Raquel and Kayla.
Okay, cool.
What about you, James?
I still think Raquel and Kayla are the winner.
Wow. All right. I didn't know I was picking a favorite.
I know.
I think it's because, you know, Ryan and Dusty, like you were saying, they're the perceived like choice to win, right? But I wonder if we're supposed to be thinking that, and then a moment where like Raquel and Kayla swoops in and like completely takes the win.
This is like the Justin and Diana season.
Yeah, Justin and Diana, but also love them, Hung and Chi, like so dominant in the beginning of the race. It's hard to keep that up the whole time. And I think that in Dusty and Rusty's case, you know, they were like up front, kind of allying with the other guys, Spencer and Anthony. And so I just feel like maybe that kind of messes with their momentum a little bit. Like they lost their competitors, they lost their allies. They've been winning a few legs up front. It's hard to keep up that.
Yeah, we'll see.
And not underestimate the other teams. And, you know, maybe that's what gets you.
This is a good season, though. I feel like this is another season where there's no team where you're like, oh, that team's going to go out next.
Yeah.
Like, it's really...
Although
like
they're
maybe Sherry and Akbar are that next team, but I need them to hold on. They need to just figure it out.
You'd think that they were going to be the team to be eliminated this episode, and then they weren't.
They could just keep lasting. Maybe they can figure something out. This could be their breakthrough episode.
I hope so.
Staircase to Hell?
Stairway to Hell.
Stairway to Hell. Jeez.
I also, to touch on Adam's point, and also I think maybe some foreshadowing with the editing of them always saying they want to be the fourth all-female team, like Amy and Maya did in season.
That's a good point. They've aired that a lot.
And touched on a lot.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we still have a few more weeks of this season, and I'm so excited to see how it ultimately plays out.
I like everybody. I really do.
They all are rootable.
There's not a villain.
Yeah, we'll see who comes out of the woodwork.
Yeah, not yet.
Give us like 2 more episodes.
Throw in a U-turn, throw in a yield. We'll see.
Yeah, right. We haven't seen any of that.
I'm waiting for the U-turn. That's what I'm curious to see how that's going to go over because
they haven't been forced to like think about those things yet.
Yeah, and I feel like
that's exactly how it was with our season. Like,
no, they'd already decided.
No, I know that, but they weren't telling anyone. But what I mean is that when we got to the mat and Phil was like, you know, this episode or this leg, things really took a turn. Like suddenly it feels different.
Well, because everyone's competitive.
Teams
right?
are coming at you.
Like everyone's friendly until you're like
You can't
And I
be
think this is true of this season
You
too.
have to
These
drop
teams
a
are
name.
competitive.
Right. You have to, like, as soon as you are in the position for someone's name to come out of your mouth, it changes things.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, especially with all the camaraderie that they're already displaying. And a lot of it, I think, is because of that 19-month long pit stop. They all have a forged bond because of the pandemic and the experiences they've been through.
We love trauma bonds.
Trauma bonds on top of the trauma bond of the race.
So healthy.
Yeah, so I'll be curious to see how the rest of this season plays out. But that wraps up episode 4.
Well, I can't wait for it to be a non-elim like you promised. So let's get to it.
Fingers crossed. Thanks for joining us on the recap, y'all. We miss you both.
Yeah, we love you. This is so fun.
Thanks for having us. This was great.
We love y'all too. And then for everyone who doesn't know who's watching, Will and I do After the Race on Amazing Race's Instagram page every Friday at 1 p.m. So make sure to join us there as we break down the episode every week. That's it.
Bye.
Bye, friends.